Every day, thousands of people around us move, work, create, and innovate. Right within our neighborhoods, each person's actions and words, directly or indirectly, influence the way we live. Whether it's the carpenter, a mechanic, or the chef, all these make up the fabric of our community. Community Report, only on Channels Television. Art breathes life, aesthetics, creativity, and beauty.
For every artist, usually the best is yet to come.
A lot of people have that in them.
It's great fun.
Giving you edifying literature, tasking your imagination to explore art beyond limits. Journey with us to the House of Arts. Art House. Life is art.
Hello there, and a warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. Amayawa Ogundele. Concerns are growing over the spate of internet fraud in Nigeria, and even more alarming is the number of youths who boldly make a case for fraudsters, also known as Yahoo boys, on social media. Although agencies responsible for bringing such criminals to book continue to make arrests, comments made by some individuals in the entertainment industry in favor of them have caused quite a stir. On the program this week, we probe the link between internet fraud, entertainment, and the law in Nigeria, and also discuss how best to curb internet fraud in the country. But before we get into that conversation, let's take a look at trends in the past week.
Muslim faithful across the globe begin a 30-day period of fasting, generally called Ramadan Mubarak. It takes place every year and is considered to be the holiest month in the Islamic calendar. Various reactions dominated the social cyberspace as the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, announced the release of its 2019 results.
There goes the trends in the past week. Now joining me in the studio to discuss this topic, I have with me Chiwike Goodness, a cybersecurity expert. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much.
I also have Damian Udo, who is a social commentator. And on Google Hangout, I have with me Ayomide Tayo, who is an entertainment journalist. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, very quickly, let's get into the heart of this conversation. I'll start with you. It seems like, for a couple of years now, Yahoo, internet fraud, 419, they've been sort of like a part of our story. And it appears, or it seems, that the security agencies are not winning in this battle. Why?
It's not as if the security agencies are not winning, but the thing is that the fraudsters are smart, because the Yahoo, as you may say, it is not a thing that is done by average people on the people with average mentality. These are people with high IQ. These are people that understand the security apparatus. These are people that also know how to beat some of those systems. So while the security agencies are doing with ones within their beat, these guys are also coming up with new and more advanced ways of doing Yahoo and doing fraud.
Now, our law enforcement agencies, are they well equipped to fight these guys?
Not totally well equipped, but they are doing well. Because right now you could see that some of the transactions that are done on the bank or some financial transactions are monitored, and very huge data in that aspect. But they single out those that are really important to them, and they have enough equipment to know when money moves from what to what. But they still need to know more, understand the sources of those funds, to understand which fund is clean and which one is not clean. But they're still they should get more equipment on that.
Now, Damien, how did we get here? And when I say here, I mean the time when young people will boldly come on social media, on a public platform, and defend crime. How did we get here?
All right, so I'll start out with the subculture, right? So we live in a subculture that promotes every get-rich scheme you can find out there. So their songs, pop culture practically promotes it, pushes it. So it's, you know, remember the song, if you don't have money, hide your face, you know, and all those other songs and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, the expectations from the youth, I mean, a young guy is driving a Benz, and his mom doesn't ask him how he got the Benz, and his lady doesn't ask him how he got there. We just celebrate it, and then, you know, and all of that kind of stuff. There's the pressure on people to do more, and that generally pushes that drive to get money at any means. Okay, so cybercrime will be one, and then many of all those other crimes.
But where is this pressure coming from? Because if I remember clearly, for instance, in the time of my parents, they would, you know, what you would hear them say is, you know, just do the bit you can. Life is easy. It's not so difficult. Don't try to get more than, you know, you can get, pretty much. But it seems like there's a change, and now we're talking about pressure. Pressure from where?
Yeah,
from who?
So the predominant subculture, right? So it's expected of a young guy to be a certain way, to live a certain life, to drive a certain kind of car, you know, to be with a certain kind of...
But who expects...
Well, I think
society generally, right?
Let me come in here. I think this pressure comes with, one, the family, two, peers, three, your own expectation of yourself. So where your peers expect you to be doing certain things, or you see somebody doing certain things, and that person is getting a lot of attention and being validated because he's doing the wrong thing, and then the person that is doing the right thing now comes under pressure as to, okay, why do I want to toe this path when I can actually get the easier way and get validated? And also the fact that, with apologies to the female colleague, a lot of people prefer to hang out with the person that is riding the Benz or the person that is throwing out the
Well, I don't think
dollars.
that's just a female thing,
And
but let's take
it's
that
a
for
cultural
later.
thing,
that
right?
becomes a pressure on other people that are not doing it. Also on the family part, which is economic, when the expectation at a certain age, or probably fathers or the economic situation is biting hard on the family, and the children see it on themselves to make a contribution.
All right,
and the easiest way to do that is probably to do something clean or not clean.
Now, I'm going to ask you what role social media has played in all of this. But very quickly, let me bring in Ayomide into this conversation. Ayomide, how did music get into this mix? How did we get here? How did the entertainment industry get into this mix where you have entertainers boldly promoting music that glorifies internet fraud?
Oh, okay, it's simple as this. The Nigerian music industry, even though we've seen recent trends, you know, pushing us into the global market, our music industry is not well structured. There's a lack of finance in our music structure. So what we have are young, talented individuals who have the talent to make great music, but they don't have the finance to push it. There are not many record labels that can say, oh, let's drop 500 million naira on an artist. It's not happening. So where do they place money from? They go out into their neighborhood and look out for who is the rich boy or the rich guy who can afford to sponsor their career. And most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, it's the local Yahoo guy, the local internet fraudster that has money to sponsor their career, to put on their career. And this has been happening for over 10 years. And have become a norm. And they now see, these young artists now see Yahoo guys as, oh, the saviors, the messiahs, the ones who can give us money to expand our career. And that is why we are seeing Nigerian artists, certain Nigerian artists coming out to say, they don't say anything wrong with Yahoo, because these guys they're benefiting from these guys financially. They're putting money into their music career, sponsoring their music videos, ensuring that your songs are being played on radio. So at the end of the day, you won't want to have that. So that's the reason why we are here.
Now, all right, so, they say that art reflects, the society in which it is created.
Yes.
So would you say that this is a reflection of our society? Is this a true reflection of our society at this point in time? Or is this just, a small percentage of people who have a platform and are using it wrongly?
I would say it's a general reflection of the Nigerian society. I'll say it's just a reflection of a certain part. Internet fraud is basically crime, and there are different types of crime in Nigeria. But within the music, within the music industry, internet fraud is very, very high because, like I said, these fraudsters have entered the music industry to sponsor a lot of artists. So when you see them thinking about it or rapping about it, it's because, one, these are the guys who are sponsoring them. Two, they come from the same society where these guys grew up from. They are coming from the inner city area where there isn't much wealth. The first guy you look up to is a Yahoo guy because he has money, basically. So when they're singing about this or rapping about it, it's because they can visualize it easily and see that, oh, I saw this guy, he had money yesterday, now he has money. And the dream is, because Nigeria, is kind of a materialistic society, we put a lot of emphasis on materialism. We don't care how the money is, how we get this money. It's, oh, let's just get this money. Let's get rich.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'll come back to you, Tayo. Chibuike, how do we protect ourselves against internet fraudsters?
And number one thing is we always make sure that our browsing history on our devices, especially our systems, are always deleted after you've done that. And also make sure you're not sharing systems. Because most times, when you hand over a system to somebody, you don't know how advanced that person is on the system to download the data that has been used. Also, for people that are shopping on the internet, always make sure that the site you are shopping on has HTTPS, that is a security certificate that ensures you that somebody is not phishing somewhere and picking any data that you have shared there. And also, people should be vigilant on where you input your card details and all those things. And then another thing is this thing of social media. People come somebody posing as a lady. You start dating somebody online. You've never met the person in question, and you start sharing details. You start sending money to the person. These are very risky things to do. So we really need to understand these things and then be careful about them. Also, we need to be careful on what we disclose to people. You could be talking to somebody, but you don't know who else is listening to that data that is being shared. And before you know it, these things can be brought back to be used to phish you and then find out some information that will be used against you. So your financial transactions, your interaction with people, your use of systems, and also, I'm not condemning dating, online dating, but if you are going to do that, you have to be somebody that you communicate and once in a while see before you start sharing money. Because I have a distant relation whose friend was defrauded. Why? Because he started dating somebody on the internet. He never saw this person, but he started sending money to the person. And the person kept saying she will give back the money. And it was when the thing crystallized that he discovered that it was a fraud.
Damien, social media does play a huge role in all of this. We've mentioned online dating, we've mentioned, promoting music, which is, a lot of artists use social media to promote music, and of course, also music that glorifies internet fraud. This is also the platform where some of them come out to openly defend internet fraud. Where do we go from here? How do we begin to fix this? Because I believe that social media can also play a role in changing the mindset of the people. How do we go about this?
Thank you very much. So first, I'd like, I wanted to speak about the solutions coming on board because we could analyze the problems forever. So I'll touch on 4 things quickly. This list is not in any way exhaustive, but at least it begins to solve the problem. So first, education, right? And that would just be access to information about opportunities, access to training. And I'd like to divide the demography into two. So you have in terms of the people involved in internet crime, you have like the not so educated ones. For discussion's sake, let's put in those two categories, and the very educated people. And I'll classify those guys as the people who have some form of education. To be able to perpetuate internet fraud, you need to have at least the knowledge of how to use the system, basic command on English language, and all of that. So basically, you have those guys, secondary school leavers, SSA holders, some of them in higher institutions. Then you have the really educated guys, which would be the second demography. Those guys have their degrees and all of that, but they are out of school, no opportunities, no jobs. Okay, so
let's get them educated.
So let's get them educated, right? Vocational trainings for the guys who are not so educated. Organizations like Google, Apple, and all of that have begun to employ people without college degrees. As far as you have a skill, you can code, you can program. Couldn't find, come on board. You don't have to have a degree as you had to before to be able to get the job, right? The next thing will be policy, right? So that way policy direction and then inclusion of the youth in policy. You're not trying to, it's not one of those times you just say, oh, we have policy for XXX. I was reading research yesterday.
All right, Damian, thank you very much. Damian Udo, a social commentator, as well as Chibuike Good News, a cybersecurity expert, and Ayomide Tayo, an entertainment journalist who joined us on Channels Beam to share their thoughts. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we bring you highlights of a security conference held in Lagos and organized by Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria. Please stay with us.
Go after every data breach.
Cybercrime is relentless, and experts have predicted it's unlikely to stop. According to a 2018 report released by security vendor McAfee and think tank the Center for Strategic and International Studies, the cost of cybercrime is put at an estimated $600 billion a year.
Confidentiality, integrity, and availability, all these are written.
This explains why the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria have continued its enlightenment and public awareness through its annual Cyber Secure Nigeria conference. The theme of this year's conference is implementing cybersecurity and data privacy practices in Nigeria. In attendance at this year's event were government functionaries, military personnel, security experts, and other stakeholders.
Check whether your email address has been bombed.
The president of the association has highlighted the need for Nigeria to take data privacy seriously.
Average cost of data breach will be over $150 million by 2020, with the global annual cost forecast to be about $2.1 trillion. So with rapid technological advances, cloud adoption, blockchain implementation, artificial intelligence, and data science, it is no surprise that the potential for cyber attacks and data breaches remain a top concern in today's digital landscape. According to the recently released Global Risk Report 2019 by the World Economic Forum, massive data theft and cyber attacks rank among the top 5 risks facing the society today. Cybersecurity reports from different sources attest to alarming levels of increase in cyber threats and compromises. Suffice to say that a business enterprise or livelihood can go up in flames due to cyber attack. Therefore, we cannot stand by and watch this spectacle unfold.
Secretary of the Abuja branch of the association, Elizabeth Kolade, explains the reasons behind this year's theme.
Cyber Secure Nigeria is a conference where we have cybersecurity experts within and outside Nigeria come together and share ideas and see how we can move Nigeria forward with respect to cybersecurity. This year's conference is centered around data privacy. Data, they say, is the new oil. So data is something that is very important, and it's something that we should talk about daily. We produce data daily. People use smart devices that give us data daily. So it's something that we really need to talk about. It's an entity that we really need to talk about. A breach of data can cost the nation so much.
Individuals, organizations, and various nations experience various types of data breaches and cyber attacks, such as distributed denial of service, malware, phishing, man-in-the-middle, and most sophisticated attacks involving the use of artificial intelligence. An executive of Cyberdome explains that the cost of increasing cybersecurity explains why it is the best to manage cybersecurity using AI.
We have a technology based on AI and behavior, which is recognize and learn the network and the endpoints and the end users, and then we can provide a fully automated and fully orchestrated solution. So let's say that I don't need to investigate anything as an organization. The machine do it by itself. I don't need to show you. We can bring you a full story of any attack and give you a recommendation how to respond and to stop the attack.
A digital forensic expert, Adedeji Owonibi, looks at cybersecurity in relation to cryptocurrencies, particularly privacy coins, and how it makes more difficult to track cyber criminals.
What interests me more is the digital currencies that are private, that have privacy built in from the protocol from on site. Like, I don't want to mention their names, or the privacy coins. So what is the impact of this privacy coin? Because they all meet the requirement for GDPR and NDPR. But what are the things behind the whole thing, and what latitude do they give criminals, as a matter of fact, to use there? Because you cannot trace who is behind them, you cannot know who is sending what, based on this very strong privacy protocol, that is behind the whole thing. So as much as we are into privacy, there's a downside to it when it comes to cybersecurity, cyber criminality.
The president of the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria strongly canvasses for the enactment of data privacy law.
We are not very well at all. It's quite poor in terms of, because people's data is everywhere, and the organizations are not responsible for protecting those data. Even you see a situation whereby some of the servers in this country are being hosted outside the country, So there's a need to have a data protection law in this country that will protect the citizens in terms of their data, and ensure that any organization that come foul of this law will definitely face a kind of a sanction from the government, which can be financial, and any other sanction that might be stipulated in the law.
It appears that hackers and cyber criminals are changing their game and are becoming more sophisticated by the day. It behoves on us as a nation to be more prepared in case of any unforeseen national breaches.
We begin with a video where President Muhammadu Buhari commissions industrial hubs and schools in Borno State.
Kano give 1.4, Jigawa give 800,000. They can all demand, say, okay, hold on, wait a minute. We can demand particular positions, but let us, please, for the sake of the unity of the party, and this is why I'm here.
In fourth place is a video where the Senior Special Advisor to the President on Social Investment Program, Ismail Ahmed, called for APC party unity in National Assembly leadership tussle.
But the problem is, if this same president sat down at a meeting and all agreed with members of the party that, okay, fine, let us adopt a particular candidate, and you come out and continue campaigning, are you still following that president?
From what I've seen, I think there is a likelihood of the APC committing the same mistakes they have done. It is not enough for the president to say, Ahmed Lawan is my candidate, but the president should also be able to speak to Ndume and speak to Goji.
Coming in third place is the video where Honorable Abubakar Lawal of the All Progressives Congress and Senator representing Kaduna Central, Shehu Sani, debate over 9th Assembly leadership tussle.
In democracy, there is need for them to give them an equitable hearing. Allow them actually to sit down, do the horse trading, and then come out with somebody that they feel is credible and is acceptable to everybody.
The commissioning of projects in Lagos State by President Muhammadu Buhari makes the second most viewed video. And first on our most viewed video is the completion of Oshodi Interchange Bus Terminal, which is in top gear ahead of Governor Akinwumi Ambode's handover.
Those are the most viewed videos on our channel in the past week. Do remember, the conversation continues on social media on our handles showing on your screen. It's a wrap on this edition of Channels Beam. Thank you for watching. I'm Mayowa Ogundele. See you next time.